Welcome back, everybody, to ESA Winter 21. We're here raising money for Alzheimer's Foundation, and links to donate can be found below the stream. We'd also like to thank Koei Tecmo Europe and their recent release of Neo 2, the Complete Edition, Twitch, and ViewSonic for sponsoring this event. Now, it's time for PeekingBoo, running Celeste. Take it away.
Thank you, Nordic Soy. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the end of the Sonic block. We have our favorite redhead human speedrunner girl, Madeline, here to do a Super Celeste run. So you can see I'm not using a typical controller, but since we're running a bit behind on schedule, I'll skip the pleasantries and we'll jump straight into it. So as soon as I hit begin, that's when the run will start. So I'll give you guys a countdown. 3, 2, 1, go. All right, so here we go. We're going to quickly skip a cutscene, which, because I'm standing on DDR pads and using a full DDR arcade setup, my pause button is one of the menu buttons on the front of DDR. So thankfully for me, I don't have to use it all that much. I can just use the cancel button to my right. And if you guys are interested in any of the buttons that I'm pressing, just look pretty much at the bottom of the gameplay. You should see the input display that tells you exactly what I'm pressing as I go. But yeah, this is Celeste Any%. It is a, well, for a controller runner, it's a very fast-paced category. For me, it's, I mean, it's paced. It's definitely paced. We have a grab mechanic, we have a dash mechanic, and that's pretty much all that we use throughout the run. We do have a bit of advanced tech, like the dashing up the sides of walls and jumping, which lets me get a bit more of a boost up the sides of things. And we also have I guess, a more technical dash coming up shortly, which is a hyper dash. Now, for me, hyper dashes are very, very awkward to do. So unlike a typical speedrun, where you see Madeline just zipping around all over the place, it uses a lot of energy for me. And so you're going to see me being, I guess, very sparing with what I'm doing. And so for the most part, it's just going to be a very chill run. Wow, good timing. Most of my time save comes from not dying. So I'm really glad we got to waste some time explaining that. And yeah, above all else, most of my effort recently has gone into collecting all red berries, which means right now some of these strats I'm doing are actually slower than 80% because I'm trying to position myself in favor of getting some of the berries, which for this run we don't need. So you can see all the berries kind of around the place, and I'm just going to try and do my best to actually remind myself not to collect them. But I will say we're probably going to end up with like 4 or 5 from when muscle memory takes over and I just kind of forget. Okay, so that's the intro out of the way. And with that, chapter 1 out of 7 is done. Yeah, it's just a super, super chill category, especially with dance pads. All right, cool. So 2 deaths. We ideally try to do chapter 1 with 0 deaths, but 2 deaths is perfectly fine. So this is where I'm going to start using the hyper dash, and you'll see why I use it sparingly, because that motion you just saw me do then is what I have to do every time I do that dash. It's pretty much like propelling myself forward on a skateboard. So, you know, oh, let's try that again. So it's basically like putting my foot down in front of the board, pushing along the floor, and then propelling forward very quickly. And every time I do it, it knocks my breath out of my body. So doing it while talking is a bit of a struggle. So Nordic Soy, I'm going to pass it over to you. If you would be so kind as to read a couple of donations, that would be great.
Absolutely. I'll take over the talking for a little bit. We've got a $35 anonymous donation with no comment, but thank you so much for your generosity. And we've also got a $5 donation from Nanakiemi, coming back in saying, gotta throw another $5 in for Nordic doing his best to read that last donation out. Nice work. Well, thank you, my Scottish/Irish/British/ whatever else that was. I'm glad you enjoyed it.
That's what matters, right? Okay, so I'm gonna skip over the plot because the plot is kind of something that needs to be enjoyed by the player. If you've never played Celeste before, I definitely recommend it. But we are being chased by, I guess what I'll say is our inner demons right now. And they pretty much repeat everything that we do, just at a tiny offset. So I just need to make sure I don't retrace my steps. And if I don't, then I'll be fine. So just like that, anytime you have to backtrack, you kind of have to backtrack a different way. And let's go down the side here. Good. Nice little shortcut. And we're already almost at the end of Chapter 2. Now, the great thing about this game is that it eases the player into what's going on very, very slowly. So you feel like you're progressing a lot. You know, we've just done 2 chapters in like a couple of minutes. But then by the time you get to the final chapter, it takes like 10, 15 minutes. Oh my goodness. All right, there we go. Zip over here. Skip our cutscenes. And wait, weren't we just here? What's going on? Now, since I skipped on some plot, probably doesn't make a lot of sense. But anyway, it's fine. I also didn't really have a chance to touch on those dream blocks that I was dashing through, but we'll see those again a bit later. Basically, when I dash through them, my dash keeps going until I pop out the other side. And it's a great way to get around. Cool. So that is Chapter 2. Done and dusted. I have to remember to kind of zip along here, because the longer I spend in these menus, this game actually runs on in-game time, and me being really clever, I accidentally did my estimate based on in-game time and not real time. So what that means is that I need to make sure that I keep the timer running as much as possible so that I stay as close to my estimate as possible. It's a very, very simple mistake to make, but it's one that I did make. And it's one that I need to make up for by being, I guess, less bad. So now we've entered Chapter 3, where we're in the hotel. And we have a lot of dust monsters flying around right now. And this whole area is basically just a cycle-based area. So anything that you need to do is repeatable if you don't do it the first time around. But obviously, the longer you take, the more cycles you miss. And missing cycles means time loss, so we're going to try and avoid that. I'm just going to try and keep going as much as I can with very little waiting. Oops, nearly died. But this is very much a big labyrinth area, where it's kind of linear to begin with, but then it starts branching off, and you need to make some decisions about what you want to do. And wherever possible, I am going to try and get a cheeky little hyperdash in there, just to zip myself along just a little bit more. But for the most part, I'm just trying not to die. Whoops. Okay, we're good, we're good. We're good. And now the stage actually begins. So we get into this giant room in the middle here, which is just an absolute mess. The actual name of the split for the run is called Big Mess. And it's no surprise why. But what we have to do is talk to the hotel owner in the middle, who then tells us that we have to clean it up. Because, well, we're the esteemed guest. And so naturally, we need to have the hotel in the pristine condition that suits us. So in order to clean up, we have to go into each of these little rooms, and we have to press a switch at the end, and that switch is going to clean up some of the junk. Do a nice little boost there, and around we go. Now, one of the difficulties of playing this with dance pads, aside from the constant movement, is just like how dynamic the movement is. You know, in a typical platformer, let's say, you know, a 2D Mario or 3D Mario or something like that, I'm usually just holding one direction. But in Celeste, it forces you to go every direction. So I'm holding ups, downs, lefts, rights. And while I'm doing that, I'm also pressing action buttons with my other foot. So it requires a lot of coordination and a lot of reacting to what's going on as well. Okay, we'll get on this cycle, get the hyper dash, and through here. So a lot of this is just like my legs being in some weird spread formation when I'm also jumping around. And by the end of the run, it actually gets very exhausting. I don't know why I stopped there. That was very weird. Okay. So this is the last room. Also, I forgot to go, so that's all right. This is the last room that we have to do. This is cleaning out the purple laundry, the laundry platforms now. And one thing that I forgot to mention while playing is that as you clean each of these areas, the blocks in the other screens also disappear. So depending on the order that you do these stages, will affect the layout of each of these areas too. Okay. So now you can see this big messy room is now clean. We did it. And so now we got the key to leave. Have another cutscene that we can skip. We're going to take the elevator shaft to the top because the elevator's broken. Good. Collect these doorbell switches here. And yeah, now everything starts coming together. Suddenly, everything is spikes. Don't touch anything. These little wiggly things that you're seeing on some of the walls and floors. Uh-oh. Okay. When you stand on them and then walk off, it turns the floor into the dust particles that hurt us. I just tried to get a berry. Let's ignore that, shall we? Oh man, now I've got the death cycle. Let's go back down. Remember what I said about muscle memory? About how, you know, if I don't actually pay attention or I get lost in thought, I'm going to start doing something that I shouldn't? That was one of such things. Okay. We can take a death warp here. Once we've collected the key stays with us. And so we can just death boost back to the start of the screen so that we don't have to take extra time going back. Dash through here, over here. Oops, nearly died. All right, and that's almost the end of chapter 3. We're zipping along right now, dudes. So, now we have this chase segment with the hotel owner Oshiro, who is mad at us because, I don't know, we kind of put him in his place that, hey, we shouldn't be cleaning up the mess of the hotel just because that's how we want it, or because that's how you say we want it. So naturally, he's kind of annoyed by that, as a spirit would be. And we just kind of have to dodge all of his anger. It's pretty easy. The only time it's pretty easy. The only time it's difficult is when you're on a run that matters, such as trying to do this deathless. Okay, let's just wait here. Awesome. There we go. The only time that part's difficult is when you're doing a run that matters. So I guess this run matters, chat. I hope you'll enjoy it. And not long to go now. We just have to zip across this section here. And every time you dash into one of those crystals, it restores your dash. So with that, it allows us to chain our dash over longer areas. However, if I time my hyper dashes correctly on the platform I'm standing on, I can do a quick dash, but then also get my dash back because the game's treated me as being on the ground for longer. Oh no. Oh no, now we have to do the whole screen again, dude. You hate to see it. That was the last part, by the way. Oh my goodness. Everything's ruined. This chase is honestly the most annoying thing. So about a week ago, I was practicing the 3A Golden Berry. And if you're not familiar with what that means, basically a Golden Berry is awarded to you post-game if you can do the whole stage deathless. And I was constantly getting to this area, and even though it's super easy, for some reason I just kept messing up. So like right now, because there's no stakes, and I've already messed up a lot, it doesn't matter how good or bad I do, and of course we make it. But when we're at the start of a marathon run, obviously I need that to go well, and that was one such case where it did not. So we're going to leave Chapter 3 with 10 deaths, and we're going to jump into Chapter 4. Nordic, if you have any messages, feel free to read them.
Oh, do I? Let's start with a $25 donation from Maniac Norton. It says, hello to all, and have a nice weekend. Thank you all for the nice runs. Greetings from Germany. We've also got $35 from Phobius. It says, thanks for all the fantastic runs, and good luck on Celeste. Let's see here. I got a $5 anonymous donation with no comment. And then I've got a special one here. I've got $10 from Theo. He says, hey, it's Theo. Have you seen my phone?
Thank you very much. Okay, so we are in Chapter 4 now. Chapter 4, personally one of my favorite sections just because of how it looks and also how it sounds and, you know, just generally just good vibes here. And this area introduces snowballs and wind. And of course these blue orb things. Now when I go into these blue orbs, I can hold a direction and it pushes me in that direction briefly. It's basically like getting a second dash. So it's super handy, and when you chain them together, it lets you go in different... It lets you go to different areas, basically. Okay. So we're just going to ignore a whole bunch of screens here that typically have berries, but we're not going to worry about that at all. And it also introduces these blocks that you have to hold on to. And when you press a direction on, I guess, the shaded side, it lets you move the block in that direction. So you can see this block doesn't have a shaded side anywhere, so you can't move that one. This one does on the top, so when I get on top, I can move it up and down. So that's how these blocks work. We're going to hold on to the side here, so that we can use it as a ferry to get up here. All right, and you can see the wind is starting to get very strong. So we're going to use these bubbles to our advantage to push ourselves through the wind as quickly as we can. Nice. Can I get the swag jump? Of course we can. Of course we can. And nearly died. Let's just keep on keeping on. All right. Okay, we got the wall jump, the second wall jump. We got the hyper across here so that we don't have to go around. Ooh, and we just made it into the bubble as well. Uh-oh, help. There we go. Okay. Activate this platform. We have to drop this block so the platform can get through. And we have to lower this platform just a little bit. Well, actually we don't, but I like to. Which I shouldn't, because that actually wastes time. Every time you move these blocks up and down, it slows the block down ever so slightly. But hey, I guess it's a comfort thing, right? Gives me more time to think. Now, I think this is one of the most hated screens for casual players, because this is the first screen that introduces the wind starting and stopping. Which is interesting, because it's like the only one that does that. And then it just goes straight back to constant wind, so that you know exactly what's happening. Okay, we'll drop down here. And you can see how strong the wind is. But then, once you reach this screen, well, sorry, not this screen, the screen after, for whatever reason, the wind slows down. And so it's very jarring. Like, you get to this screen, and then you're so used to the previous screen's movement that sometimes you just fall off the edge and die. Oops. Okay. Now, thankfully, we can jump on those snowballs as they fly towards us to give ourselves a bit of an extra boost. Let's try again. Good stuff. Good stuff. Nice and easy. And we're pretty much at the end of Chapter 4. We are zipping along right now. Up here. Oops. Now, the great thing about pretty much everything in Celeste is that when you first enter one of these orbs, as Chad is saying, you can dash immediately to activate its ability. So instead of waiting for it to shoot, I can just press the dash button and then it'll just move the way it was supposed to, but much sooner. So wherever possible, that's what I'm going to be doing. Okay, cool. 1 death. Not bad. Let's go into Chapter 5. And Chapter 5 is where things start to get a little annoying. At least if we were collecting all the berries. Thankfully, in any percent, Chapter 5 is very easy. You just kind of skip everything that matters in this place. But still. Oh. Okay, good. So just like before, we can dash as soon as we enter these red orbs to activate them immediately. Meant to go upwards there. And we're going to try and do a little skip here, where we hyperdash through this gap instead of going left and then taking the orb to the right. Close, close. Let's try again. Oh, okay, hold on. So I have a visual cue for this, but it's kind of annoying. There it is. I pretty much look at the swirl patterns on the sides of the walls. Please, thank you. And I'm aligning myself up with the second swirl on the wall usually. So we did all of that just to get a key to get to the next area. We have a cutscene. We hit a button. We go to the next screen of the next area. And then as soon as we get here, there's a whole bunch of stuff going on, but we know exactly where to go. We land on here, dash up here, go up here, and we're out. That's what this whole thing is. Just getting to the next screen and then skipping. So we go through there, we are at another screen, and we skip it. We're going to be going through this area because this area is secret and doesn't require a key. Good. And there's only one slightly hard part, which is this part. Just take it a bit slower just to make sure. Okay, we mistimed that dash, so didn't make it over the ledge, but hey. And we're almost done with Chapter 5 at this point, actually. So this is kind of the intermission point. This is where we are introduced to our first and I want to say only enemy of the game. There is like one more, but we'll just say this is the only enemy. Because it's the only enemy, that's all I'm going to say. So we now control this thing called a Seeker. And we now understand that the Seekers kill us by killing ourselves. Look, there's the other quote-unquote enemy of the game. But we don't count this one because this one is us. Okay, skip a bunch of cutscenes. Thank you, cutscenes. And as you can see, things have gotten a little more wiggly than they were just a moment ago. Now, every time I dash, those blocks are going to go across their rails until they reach their destination. So we can use that to our advantage to get a bit of a momentum boost. And now we've reached the Seeker rooms. You can see that the Seekers can activate these switches. So wherever possible, we're going to try and get them to do that. Like here, for example. Thank you, thank you. Saves us going down there, right? Okay. And yeah, it's just a simple time. Uh-oh. Okay, that's unfortunate, because now this dude's going to get through and get in my way. You gotta love the pathfinding on these things as well. They always do what you don't want. I don't know how they were programmed to do that, but they found a way. Oh my god. Go away. There we go. If it were up to me, that thing would not get in my way at all, but here we are. Okay, so now we're in the darkness. We're going to ignore everything here, and we're just going to leave. And we're going to perform a skip called Search Skip, where instead of getting one of those keys, we're going to dash at a wall, and then using its momentum, jump off the wall, and continue the dash in the other direction. Oops. And that just saves us the hassle of going through some corridors that we don't need to do. I actually don't know how much time it saves, but it's worth it. It's worth it enough to not go around everywhere. Also, missed the diagonal dash once, twice, 3 times. Nope, 3rd time's a charm. And now we need to bait one of these into hitting the blocks, because that's where our hidden doorbell is. Uh-oh. There we go. Suddenly plot. Our friend that we've been seeing here and there is now trapped in a crystal, and this becomes an escort mission. So maybe this game's part of the GTA block instead of the Sonic block. I'm not sure. What do you guys think? And so things are a little different now. Did you see that? It bounced off the ground, which made it go up. There's no way I could have predicted that. Oops, come back. Okay. So I like using Theo as a shield. Also, spaghetti is everywhere right now. I have no idea what I'm doing. Okay, let's go. Let's go. And this whole area is basically just carry the big crystal, dodge the big dudes, rinse and repeat. By the way, getting this berry is very annoying, so I'm glad we don't have to do that. Okay, good. Okay, so now it's putting our friend on the rails, getting momentum boosts. We love those. Okay. Need to try and get our friend through here without monsters following us, so that is great. And then after this, there should be one more area. Yes, here we are. So this is the final area of Chapter 5. It's not even that hard. It's just a big open room that you don't... Oh boy, okay. Okay. A bit rude. I'm just like going about my day, enjoying my time, and then this dude's just like, oi, out of the way. Okay, alright, we're safe. Now the reason I say that's the last room is because you technically can't die in this room. I mean, I think you can, but if you do, well, that's something. But this is just a big old lie. Throw the crystal at it, as you do. And we're done ski. So that is Chapter 5 done. We only have 2 more chapters to go. Nordic, if you have anything to say, by all means.
Oh, we've got a lot, actually. We've got a good number of things going on. I'm going to do these in a specific order. So we've got $5 from Anonymous. No comment, but thank you for your generosity. We've got $25 from Hunna Brunna. It says, thank you to ESA, staff, crew, and runners for the great week of entertainment for a wonderful cause. But then we've got $35 from To Roger. It says, great cause, great runs. Thanks. Stay fit, PeekingBoo.
Thank you.
Then we've got $100 from Meteor Neum. Says, Celeste is my favorite game ever. It's one of the best platformers, and it's trans. What more could you want? This dance pad run has been making for a lovely Saturday night watch. By the way, let's get that Bowser's Fury run. We can do it. And we absolutely can, because we have a $500 donation coming in from Fourth Strongest. That's a huge dono. Thank you so much for your generosity. And with those donations, we're now more than halfway there. We're at $2,833.34 out of the $5,000 that we need to make that happen. And you've got until the end of the next run to get to that $5,000 mark, but I want to see it happen sooner. I mean, we're over $44,000 raised for Alzheimer's Fondant. So thank you so much for every single donation. We couldn't do it without you.
Yeah, thank you very much, everybody. Is there any more, or was that what you got so far?
Oh, I got one more, actually. Just came in,
okay,
$35 from Dobster. So thank you so much, Dobster.
Thank you very much. Okay, so we are in the reflection chapter of Celeste, which is visually very, very beautiful. Also, why am I taking the bottom route? This is the Sonic block. We always take the top route, even if it's slower for us to suddenly go up there. Okay. But yeah, so we've got a few things to unpack here. So when we hit a feather, suddenly our movement changes from typical platforming into D-pad controls. So in order to go up, I hold up, and to go down, I hold down, for example, which is different to the just hold right and jump that we've been used to at this point. We also have these blocks when we dash into the sides, they get really angry and charge at us. And then we have bumpers from Smash Bros. So that's this area in a nutshell. And I'm just trying to get from start to end as soon as I can, because this being the reflection stage means that we're going to face our inner demons. And we're going to see what that looks like in just a moment. Okay. We also have a very cool skip coming up. And I say very cool skip because it's one of the most obvious and intended skips in the whole game. So you'll see that in just a moment. But for now, we're just going to do a couple of bumps. And away we go. Okay, more feather gaming. Dash up, so I missed that spike. Dash down right, so I can chain into a hyper dash. And I shouldn't do that because it makes for a very hard cycle on this screen, but thankfully I died, so now it doesn't matter. So now I'm going to do this screen slowly, and in doing the screen slowly means I pretty much get safe passage through here. So kind of a blessing in disguise, I guess. Okay, Lady Granny, we don't need to talk to you. Uh-oh, things are getting a little wiggly again. Man, I overshot. That's unfortunate. Okay. Going to use this block to break the floor. And so this is that skip I was talking about. So typically you're supposed to go back and forth, left and right, but you can align with this, and just drop straight through. There's also a third one where you have to align yourself. And of course, as soon as skill comes into the matter, all of mine goes out the window. So let's try that again. Align, align, jump on these. Uh-oh. There you go. All you have to do is just move one tile to the right once you drop in. But for some reason, I don't know. Just wasn't my day. Okay, I'm going to take this part nice and chill because it's a very narrow water section and I have to go back to the top if I die. Jump along here. 1, 2, 3. And we're going to ride this all the way to the end. 1, 2, go. All right. And this is the part where I'm debating whether or not it's an enemy or a boss. So I'm just going to say this is the boss of the game, and beforehand was the single and only enemy of the game. But I guess you could say they're both enemies. Oh boy. And this whole thing is just an on-rails boss fight. All we have to do is just get from one end of the screen to the other, bumping into this boss every step of the way. So it's not super hard as long as you kind of shuffle along quickly. especially when it's charging up that laser. It just makes... Wow, I got it. Cool. It just makes for a very smooth moving time. Because while the laser's charging up, you can do whatever you want. As long as you're not in its path by the time you're done, it don't matter. It's only when these balls start flying at you, that's when it gets a bit scary. Okay. And this is just a combination of typical platforming and feather segments combined with horizontal and vertical stages. It really does offer a lot for such a simple concept. Dang. Didn't leave myself enough of a window through there, so we'll take the death and we'll keep on going. Okay. So what happened there is when you land, you're supposed to get your dash back, but I accidentally landed on the corner of a platform, which treated it as a wall jump instead of a regular landing. And so what that meant is that I didn't get my dash back, and so I couldn't control what I was doing next. So now we know. Oh my god. I don't think I've ever done that, ever. That I've done before. This, that thing at the end, not so much. Alright, fine. I'll just take it slow. We're not going to do any fast dropping or anything like that. We'll just go back and forth. There we go. Nice and slow, just like the devs intended. There we go. Skip another little cutscene. I bet we thought it was over, huh? Well, we got to keep on going. So now this area kind of starts bringing momentum into it. So the vertical blocks will push you up higher depending on if they're moving up or not. Likewise, you don't get as much of a jump if they're moving downwards. So it can get a little annoying. So it's best just to stay off them as much as possible, honestly. Or just try and land on the ones that are going up. Okay, we'll wait here, and didn't get hit by that ball, so that was great. Damn, I thought I really did well there. Now, people tell me a lot that the feathers are very hard to control, especially with D-pads. And personally, I don't see it. I know I'm saying that while also showing that I can't really control the feather all that well, but I don't know. I don't seem to have as much difficulty as a lot of casual people. So I don't know if maybe I'm just built for D-pad or what the story is, but I think D-pad feather is okay. We stand D-pad feather. Okay, get a dash across here. And now our inner demons have decided that they're going to work together with us. And so now our hair is purple instead of red, and we have 2 dashes instead of 1. So that allows for new elements to unlock in this game. Okay, so that is chapter 6 done. We'll skip that cutscene, and we have one more chapter to go. So I have to get a wriggle on here, because like I said, this runs on in-game time, and I'm sure you can see my timer is a lot lower than what it probably is on the stream. So let's keep it going. Okay. So now we are equipped with 2 dashes. And so it's time for us to re-experience the game with our new skill set. And so chapter 7 is kind of a medley chapter. This is where you're going to re-experience the old parts of the game that you started with, but they're going to be a bit more difficult to accommodate for your newfound skill set. So we're just going to take take our time getting up and across here. All right. And Nordic Soy, if you have any donations, feel free to read them.
I do indeed. I've got $35 from Dr. Aisha. It says, greetings from Nashville, Tennessee. Thanks for a week of entertainment while we were trapped in our snow-covered houses. Well, thank you, Dr. Aisha.
Okay, so now we are back in chapter 1. You might remember when we started, we were in kind of this cityscape stage, and we had those blocks where when we stood on them, they went along these rails, and we were doing like some momentum jumping with it. Well, now we're doing it again, but it's a little harder this time. Okay. Just go and grab this. Conveniently hit that crystal as soon as we land on it. Yeah, suddenly the gaps are bigger and the hazards more treacherous. Let this block fall so that we can dash under this block. And you can see we're giving ourselves, oopsie, hold on. I did not do this very well. Okay. As you can see, we're giving ourselves a helping hand as we go. Every time we hit one of these orbs, it's effectively ourselves helping ourselves. We can do this. All right, so now it's time for the chapter 2 section. And this is what has those dream blocks where your dash continues through until you reach the other side. And honestly, this mechanic is great. This mechanic is super, super fun. And it's very satisfying too. Like for something that effectively has you doing less, it feels like you're doing more. Also, I almost went to get another berry. You'll have to forgive me. Sometimes muscle memory is just, it's just fickle like that. Okay, nice little wall boost. All right. I'm gonna say though, I'm pleasantly pleased with myself that I haven't actually gone and collected a berry yet. Like, I thought for sure I would get one by accident by now. I did a run earlier this week for a different marathon where I ended up collecting about 4 or 5 before, you know, I told myself to stop. Okay, chapter 2 is done. Remember chapter 3 when we were in the hotel? Well, here we go again. So this time, these dudes are moving a lot faster than usual. And some of them have very favorable cycles that you can just kind of, you know, dash through. That was me, unfortunately, not holding right enough. And now we're on the death cycle, so I have to wait. There we go. Okay. And this one is just pretty much hold right. And then I take my time here because I'm a scrub gamer. There we go. Good. This one, you just hold right again. Okay, I don't normally go that way, but that's what the game told me to do, so thank you, game. And then up we go. Okay. I missed this cycle. And you know what? We're going to go under. We're going to take the secret path. Oops. Okay. And we're almost at the end here. We've almost learned everything that we need to from this area. Okay. Chapter 3 is done. Chapter 4, aka 2,000 meters. Up and through and over and through and death. Let's do it again. Okay. over and up and through, and there we go. I know what I'm doing. Or do I? Let's try one more time. All of these deaths, man. Okay. So chapter 4, as you remember, is where we had the orbs and the snowballs and the wind. So we're just going to have to make sure that we... Awesome. Completely avoid all of that, which I just did. So shoutouts to me for being great. Okay, we duck under that one. And we have these blocks that we control as well. So we have to push this one through the gap, jump behind it, push it down again, and then get over it so that we can clear a path for it to get through. Okay. Now, the casual audience usually finds that berry there to be very obnoxious to get. So I'll spare you all the I'll spare you all the struggle of me getting it, but doing that in an all red berries run is very, very frustrating sometimes. Okay, we are nearly done. So chapter 4 is done. We are moving on to chapter 5 very shortly. Nice little hyper across here. Okay. Go. Skip this cutscene when we reach the top. All right, let's go chapter 5. 2500M. And once again, we're back in the temple, where every time we dash, these blocks move from one end of their rail to the next. So we're going to be using that to momentum boost in a lot of places, as well as not die, you know, like that. So we're going to jump over this and then dash where that was. Wait, hang on. That's right. I learned something. We're going to try and do this. Gaming, let's go. So now we don't have to take the red orb up to the top from the screen at the bottom. That saves a bit of time. Okay. We'll go on through here. And we're coming up on door skip as well. Door skip, another one of those famous skips in this run. Blah. Oh, okay, that time my button didn't even work. Okay, well, we take those, I suppose. So anyway, we just struggled on the hardest screen in the game, so let's do door skip. First try. There's door skip number 1. And there's door skip number 2. All right, everybody clap. That was very difficult. So difficult, in fact, that we have to do it again. So these doors are very misleading because they're actually just a rectangle, but as you can see, they kind of jut out to the side. And so it makes you look like you're closer to it than you actually are. Okay, just had to take a moment to get my composure. And across we go. Wow. Okay. None of you saw that, right? Let's just try that again. So this whole area is just... It looks very daunting, but it's basically just dash, grab the block, and then ride it to the other side. Oops. Of course, if you're too eager, then stuff like that happens. There we go. Now, we don't get another Chapter 6 because we just did Chapter 6, and I think that's fair. So now we're straight back into the new stuff. So this is Chapter 7, the climbing of the mountain. And when we... Man, I'm just trying to explain stuff, video game. Can you just chill for 1 second? So when we reach the top of this mountain, that's going to be time. And that will be once we reach flag number 1. We're at 28 right now. And chat, if you could be so kind as to start counting down, that would be amazing. So, the first part of this has downward wind, which makes the character very heavy. And what that means for me is that I have to suddenly start reacting faster to all of the stuff that's happening. My character falls faster, I have to step faster. It really does feel like I'm heavier. So good job to the game devs for making this part truly exhausting. You have outdone yourselves. Oh boy. But once we reach the top, it's all going to be worth it. So we're going to chain a few dashes onto springs, which give us our dash back. And go across here.
Well, we've got all kinds of numbers flying through on chat. I've got a few in front of me as well, if you don't mind a few donations coming in. All right, we've got a $10 anonymous donation. Says amazing cause, amazing game, amazing core strength. Cheers.
Thank you.
Then we got a $50 donation coming in from Brains. Says awesome Celeste run. Bowser's Fury, let's go! And speaking of Bowser's Fury, we've got a $250 donation from players A and B. Says, we always love Celeste runs, and watching PeekingBoo do this with his feet is just amazing. How long till we get a farewell dance pad run? Thanks to all the runners for supporting such a worthy cause. And then, not to be outdone, but actually to be outdone, we've got a $256 donation from Joshua Cant with no message. So thank you all for these amazing donations. That brings our grand total for Bowser's Fury now to $3,469.
Nice.
And 34 cents out of the 5,000 that we need. So we are chugging right along. Let's see if we can't make that happen sooner than later, right? We're all sitting on the edge of our seat to see if that's going to happen. Let's get those donations in and make it happen, guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you. All right, so we are at the part with vertical wind. I should say upward wind. And this makes my jumping a lot easier because suddenly I jump very high, I fall very slow. So it's the exact opposite of what we just had. But it's kind of a blessing in disguise because once the wind goes back to normal, I'm going to feel heavy again. Because that's just, it's what it does to your brain, right? It's just one of those things that messes with your brain, even though everything's the same. So let's dash on through. And we're almost there. Once we hit 5, we're good. Gravity goes back to normal. Okay. Whew. All right. There we go, we're at 5. So suddenly the wind has stopped. So suddenly everything feels normal and normal feels wrong. But hey, it is what it is. That's the world we live in. So we're going to take a feather across to number 3, scale the mountain to reach number 2. Wow, number 2 is actually very far away. I forgot about that. There you are. And then go along the underside of the cliff. Oh, we just got that. And here we are at number 1. So time is coming up when I reach the top of the mountain. You'll see it when we see the flagpole. How are we doing on time, by the way?
Looks like we're at about 53 and change.
Time. Okay, so we went a bit over, but yeah, like I said, I was racing against in-game time, which is a bit rough. I even went over in-game time in my actual in-game time. Overestimated my in-game time, so yeah. But there you go. That is Celeste, any percent with dance pads. This is actually the first time. Well, this week is actually the first time that I've run this at a marathon. So I definitely need to push my estimate back 5 minutes, I think. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you want to see more dance pad speedruns and whatnot, you can go over to my channel at twitch.tv/PeekingBoo. At the moment, Celeste is kind of my game of choice, but we've done a lot of stuff in the past. And yeah, I hope you all enjoy the rest of the marathon. Thank you guys for having me. And yeah, take care.
Awesome. Thank you so much, PeekingBoo. We're going to have a brief intermission, and when we come back, we are going to have some Grand Theft Auto Vice City stories. So stick around. We'll be back before you know it, guys.